Kinship ties. Learning objectives. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dears. How are you doing today? Our lesson today will be about maintaining ties of kinship. Let's begin. Yesterday, my mother asked me to finish my homework early so that we could visit my grandparents in the evening. I asked her, why do we have to visit them? She told me that Islam encourages Muslims to maintain the ties of kinship between their relatives, both male and female. Our kin are our relatives. Prophet, peace be upon him, said, "He who believes in Allah and the Last Day, let him be hospitable to his guest. And he who believes in Allah and the Last Day, let him maintain the good ties of blood relationship. And he who believes in Allah and the Last Day must speak good or remain silent." The meaning of the hadith is that the Prophet, peace be upon him, encourages all Muslims to honor their guests. The Prophet, peace be upon him, also encourages Muslims to maintain ties or good relationships with their male and female relatives. This includes parents and grandparents, sons and daughters, brothers and sisters, and aunts and uncles. Finally, the hadith encourages us to always be careful to say what pleases Allah Almighty, whether we do that with remembrance or recitation of the Holy Quran. There also shouldn't be any sin in our speech, like backbiting, gossip, or lying. That's because that will be recorded against the servant and he will be held accountable for it. Allah Almighty said in the Holy Quran, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Not a word does a person utter without having a vigilant observer ready to write it down. Now, my dears, who among you can tell me how the kinship relationship is? Well done! Maintaining ties of kinship involves visiting relatives or getting in touch to check on them from time to time. It also includes being with them during their joys and sorrows, and helping them if they need help. Do any of you know about the benefits of maintaining kinship ties as commanded by the Prophet, peace be upon him? Wonderful! Among the benefits of maintaining kinship ties as commanded by the noble Prophet, peace be upon him, is an increase in faith. Our faith increases and grows whenever we follow the teachings of Islam and the commands of Allah the Almighty and His Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Another benefit of maintaining kinship ties is the forgiveness of Allah Almighty for the sins of His servant. The next benefit of maintaining kinship ties is a great reward from Allah Almighty for our obedience to His command. Finally, a benefit of kinship ties is an increase in affection and harmony between people. Can you remember and name every one of the benefits of maintaining kinship ties? Amazing! Do any of you know about the punishment for someone who severs ties of kinship? A person who severs ties of kinship doesn't ask about his relatives and doesn't communicate with them. At times he may even harm them, all while disregarding their rights and the rights of Allah towards them. Do you all know what consequences people like this will face? Well done! One who severs family ties has a consequence to face with Allah due to their failure to obey the commands of Allah Almighty, and because of their harm to their relatives. Parents and relatives are the people most deserving of our mercy, kind words, charity, and other good things that a Muslim can do for other people. Allah Almighty said in the Holy Quran, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. They ask you, O Prophet, in what way they should donate. Say, whatever donations you give are for parents, relatives. Prophet, peace be upon him, said about those who sever the ties of kinship by not treating them kindly or even harming them, Anyone who cuts off relationship from his nearest relatives will not enter paradise. Who can tell me which people are the most worthy of maintaining good kinship ties? Wonderful! The person most worthy of kinship ties is the mother. Cutting ties with one's mother is a more sinful act than cutting ties with anyone else, due to the great right she has over her children. She has been kind to them and worked hard for them. A person should respond to goodness and kindness with goodness and kindness. So, one shouldn't respond to a mother's kindness by severing ties. That becomes even more sinful than severing ties with one's father. Disobedience to parents is one of the greatest sins one can do, and honoring them is one of the most important duties. But the mother's right is greater. A man asked the Prophet, peace be upon him, a question. He responded, "O Allah's Messenger, to whom should I be kind and dutiful?" He replied, "Your mother." I asked, "Who comes next?" He replied, "Your mother." I asked, "Who comes next?" He replied, "Your mother." I asked, "Who comes next?" He replied, "Your father, then your relatives in order of nearness." So we say that the order of those who have the right to our kindness and goodness are the mother first, then the father, grandparents, and children. Then come the siblings and their children, aunts and uncles, and then our cousins. These are all the relatives we must maintain kinship ties with. Thus, we have learned that Islam commands kinship ties, which are good relationships with our male and female relatives. We also learned that the connection between relatives is maintained by visiting them, contacting them to check on them, sharing their joys and sorrows, and helping them if they need help. We learned that the benefits of family ties include increased faith, the forgiveness of sins, great rewards, and increased affection and love between people. Whoever doesn't maintain his ties of kinship and severes will not enter paradise. With this, my beloved students, we have finished our lesson. Goodbye. I will see you in another lesson soon, inshallah.